Hello, our reading from this week is from Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 39. In this reading, we hear about how Jesus is able to immediately and quickly make a difference in people's lives. It says, as soon as they left the synagogue, they entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now, Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up. Then the fever left her, and she began to serve them. It's an interesting thing to think about how Jesus, we don't even know whether he had met this woman before, but he knows her kids. And her kids ask that he might be able to help the mother-in-law of Peter. And so when Jesus hears about this, he quickly does something about it. And when it talks about him lifting her up, the words that are used for being lifted up is the same words that used for Jesus when he is lifted up on the cross and when he is raised from the dead. He's lifted up. This idea of Jesus going and fighting against a fever, fighting against an evil, fighting against demons, fighting against hunger, fighting against all of these things that are not God's way, Jesus does something about it. Oftentimes, when we think about confessing faith in Jesus, we don't hear about the people's actual words. And especially in the Gospel of Mark, we hear about this woman who doesn't say, "Oh, I believe in you, Jesus," or "Wow, you've done something great." But instead, she is restored to her place in being able to serve. We sometimes think about being a servant or being somebody who serves people in a restaurant or being in a service industry as not the highest calling in life. But Jesus takes that role of being a servant and says it's the most important of all of the ways that we are called to be. We are called to be servants above all things. And it's a great way of thinking about, who are you serving? Are you serving only yourself, or are you serving others? Are you a person who is a part of a community of worship and service? We hope that you know that our church is that, a community of worship and service, and we are called to be servants of God. And it is one of those great gifts that God gives to us, that we might be able to serve. Amen.